5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, this is episode 4. Before I get started, I'd like to take a minute to thank everyone who's taken the time to watch the videos I've posted so far. At the moment, the channel has 16 subscribers and over 220 views, which I think is quite great, considering it's only been a couple of weeks. If you've just discovered the channel and you like this video, please go ahead and subscribe. It would be a great help. That being said, this week's guest is Alfonso Salemi. Alfonso, can you go ahead and fill everybody in on all your various job titles?
Well, right now I'm just wearing one hat, and it's a ball hat, but ball cap. But I do wear a few different hats. I am the co-owner and co-founder of JAAG Properties, rent-to-own specialist. Also a co-founder of the REITE Club, REITE Club. So that's a real estate investor networking group that we've kind of moved online now, but we were meeting in person in Burlington. So big community of real estate investors that talking about all different types of strategies of real estate investing. And yeah, just recently, I was appointed the president of the Canadian Association of Rent-to-Own Professionals. So that is an association across Canada that strives to work ethically on rent-to-own projects, deals, works with investors, tenant buyers, and professionals like yourself, realtors, mortgage brokers. Yeah, so that we can get a little bit more info about rent-to-own. Sometimes it's one of the more, I guess, complicated or unknown strategies out there. So yeah, that's what keeps my day busy.
Can you let everybody know what's your backstory? Like, how did you get started in real estate investing?
Yeah, well, it was back almost yeah, about 10 years ago now. It was end of 2010 that I got a copy of the Rich Dad Poor Dad book in my hands. And I read that book cover to cover, and I wasn't much of a reader back then, and I just ate up all the content, all the info of the Rich Dad Poor Dad, and about making passive income, and making money while you sleep, and not trading time for money, and the whole cash flow quadrant. So if you're not familiar with that book, I definitely suggest your audience here definitely check out that book. Robert Kiyosaki. It's changed so many lives, and it definitely changed my mindset. I was in the corporate world working for one of the big global parcel distributors or parcel delivery companies in the world. And yeah, it was just like the corporate rat race. I was in sales, had a marketing background. And I always thought, I thought I was doing good. I was in sales. If you work harder, make more deals, you can make more money and control your income. And then I got a copy of this book. And then it was really kind of like a roller coaster from there that, I took different trainings. I went to seminars, networking groups, just tried to consume as much real estate investing and real estate info, to be honest, as much as I could. I had some experience. I worked when I was like 13, 14 years old. I worked on a cousin of mine's construction site where he actually built custom homes. And I was like the rover. If it was the bricklayer that was there, I was helping out the bricklayer. If it was the carpenter, if I was sweeping the house. So I always thought, like, to get into real estate, you either had to be a builder and build houses or become a realtor and sell houses. I didn't really understand the whole investing side of things. So when I took the courses, I really jumped right in, and rent to own lease option, as it's also known as, was one of the strategies that really spoke to me. And yeah, took the classes, had some amazing support and mentors that had walked the path, that had been 3, 4, 5 years ahead of me in terms of investing and learning the different strategies. And that's really was the start. Was taking those classes, getting involved, and then going out and just, yeah, learning from the people that have done it before me. And yeah, that was, yeah, almost 10 years ago. And my first real estate transaction or deal was in 2014. It was a rent to own. So it took a little bit of time to lead up to that. I like getting a lot of information, and I like to say, like, I was a chicken bleep kind of investor, and wanted to, yeah, I wanted to learn more. So that was really the start. I'm sure a lot of people have heard of that book, the Rich Dad Poor Dad book, but that was really the catalyst that got it all started.
Rich Dad Poor Dad is a great book. I would encourage anyone thinking about investing in real estate to give that book a read for sure. Alfonso, how do you find properties to invest in right now?
Definitely. And from the JAAG Properties perspective, like we specialize in rent to own. So we're really, we're a little unique in the sense that we're not specifically looking for properties or, physical properties, right? We actually look for people. So our main, again, our main strategy is a client first rent to own strategy, where we look for the clients, we call them tenant buyers, that aren't able to qualify for a mortgage today, whether it's their income, their down payment, or their credit score, and it's stopping them from qualifying for a mortgage. So we have a whole team now that basically looks at our clients, underwrites them, and says, okay, you're not able to qualify because of your income, your down payment, or your credit score. But in the next 2, 3, 4 years, you will be able to qualify if we improve your credit, save up enough down payment, and make sure that we're claiming the right amount of income. And we actually underwrite them, give them a budget, and they go out and choose the home. But to your point, it is getting a little bit more difficult because essentially we've done some off-market deals with our rent-to-own projects, but typically they're listed on MLS or kind of, I call them the retail real estate, right? Where we're going out there competing with it's end users, right, that are going to be living in their homes. So we don't typically identify the opportunity. We identify the client. We say, okay, you're able to qualify for a certain purchase price, anywhere from 300,000-400,000 all the way up to $700,000 or $800,000. And then they go out and choose the home that they want to live in, the area that's desirable to them, near schools for kids, or amenities, or transit when for commuting and all that kind of good stuff. And then they go out and actually choose the home, and then with joint venture partners and other investors as well as ourselves, we buy that property for them. So we've been able to help so many clients get into home ownership, and that's really how we identify the opportunity, is really by the person that is willing to put in the work to increase or claim their income properly, save up the down payment, and then work on their credit score in the rent own program.
If someone wanted to get a house using rent to own, what's the process like to get started?
Typically, like a lot of our clients, it's that they've been turned down by an A lender, a B lender, or like the bank, or from somewhere else, and they haven't been able to qualify for a mortgage because of those things that I said earlier. So the first step for them is really to kind of we have our website that you can go on, take a look at. We have like a 4 or 5 minute cartoon video, explains our process, and then we get into the application process. Very similar that if someone was going to try to qualify for a mortgage, we'd have them fill out a rent-to-own application, very similar to a mortgage application. We have minimums of 65,000 total family income, and a $10,000 deposit, or 3% of the purchase price, the greater of the two. And once they meet those qualifications, then we go through our application process, filling out the application, getting all the supporting documents, job letters, tax returns, all that stuff. And then we come up with a budget. So the first step is really making sure that you do want to own your home. You want to change the furnace filters, cut the grass, and do all the things that a homeowner needs to do when they own their home, and then basically apply for our program. We have a whole application team that reviews that, and then it goes through our financial team that we brought all in-house in the last, I would say, year and a half or so, that we brought all in-house so that we can quickly identify if they're going to be a good fit for our program, and then they go out and shop for a home. So we try to make it as simple as possible. Rent to own is maybe one of the more complicated, or there's more steps involved in different rent to own strategies. So we really try to make it as easy as possible to apply for the program.
This is a good question I like to ask a lot of people. What's the worst mistake you ever made as a real estate investor?
Oh, there's definitely a few. And I know at the beginning it was the shiny object syndrome. So, I was learning about rent to own, and then I got more information about like multifamily, and then there was wholesaling, and then there was like flipping, and now people are calling it BRRRR, right? And it was just not really, it was kind of like drinking water from a fire hose, was trying to do a little bit of everything and not just really bearing down and saying, okay, I'm going to learn one strategy. I'm going to be an expert at this one strategy. And at the beginning, it was kind of getting all the info and kind of half started projects, or not even half, like, like just started projects. Okay, I'm going to do this and make a list and call and not really back it up with anything until, until, the rent to own, I had some mentors that spoke to me about it. But yeah, like, I guess like an actual mistake was, I think sometimes I get too wrapped up in the emotional side of real estate, And especially when we're working with clients and deals and numbers and all that kind of stuff, we really got to focus on, what are the benefits, what are, the numbers that it's going to be profitable. And, maybe sometimes listening to a client saying, oh no, I promise I'm going to do this and, oh, I'll pay, and that kind of stuff, that I just believed everyone. I just thought everybody was just going to do what they were going to say and say what they were going to do. And yeah, not there was good mistakes to learn along the way. And I was fortunate and am fortunate to have a great business partner, Adam, in JAAG Properties, that was a little bit of the opposite. He just didn't believe anybody. And he's like, no, they're not going to do it. And so like a good balance between the two, is trust, but verify. And, learning those mistakes that somebody said they were going to send something or do something or pay a certain amount, and then they didn't. Yeah, it was the mistake that I learned. I was like, oh, they said they were going to do that, and then they didn't. And then follow through with it was a mistake that I learned quickly, that I was like, okay, I need to, number one, focus on, specific strategy, and really, dig my teeth in there, and, roll up the sleeves and learn, all the ins and outs, and learn from the people that have, done it for a long time before me. And then the other part was trust, but verify. Most people are good and they have good intentions, but it's verifying and making and following up to make sure that they are going to do that. So I think you can apply that not only to rent to own, but all different types of strategies in real estate in general, and life maybe as well.
What type of investing do you do now? Is your portfolio mostly rent to own, or do you invest using some of the strategies that you just mentioned?
Absolutely. Obviously, the rent to own makes up the largest part of the portfolio. And with JAAG Properties, we've done over 170 projects of rent to own. Probably hold about maybe a dozen or so just buy and holds, duplexes, triplexes across Southern Ontario. And then the other one that is really cool, and it's really fun, is kind of like the cottage Airbnb short-term rental strategy. And obviously with what happened this year, and what I foresee in the next little bit, is a lot more staycations, people not traveling as far or getting on planes and staying a little bit more local. So again, my business partner, Adam, and I, and as well as a few other people, we have, I think it's now 10 or 11 cottages in Port Stanley, Ontario. So portstanleycottages.com, check that out as well. So we do the short-term rentals, and it's so like, it feels like there's so like less resistance with clients, because they're excited to come out to the beach for a week, and they have a place, and it's their vacation, it's people's fun, contrasting that to the rent to own business, where it's like people have to do hard work to fix their income, their down payment, their credit scores. So yeah, the rent to own, the long-term holds, where we have duplexes, triplexes, people just renting, staying in there and doing the property management side of things. And then, yeah, the vacation renters or Airbnb, short-term, whatever, blanket or umbrella that falls under, is typically the main strategies. I've also, just this past year as well, too, did a duplex conversion. So we took a single family bungalow in East Hamilton. Shout out to Hamilton, my favorite city in the whole wide world, because my hometown, home of Roma Pizza as well too. We were talking about that before. Yeah, we did a duplex conversion where, we took a bungalow and, legally duplexed it to make it 2 legal units, and now currently have that rented out as well. So I really like that strategy. It's a little bit more hands-on. You can ask the contractors and different people that were involved in that project. I was there like every day, and it was just really just like walk around and look around, and wasn't really doing much, but it was cool for me to kind of walk through that experience, to kind of see from my house from where it was. It kind of brings me back to the construction days, right? This was kind of from the old school, from the ground up, but seeing, a bungalow being converted into 2 units, and now 2 families live in there. That was really cool as well. And, on the longer term hold of things, yeah, is a great experience, and yeah, make some money in cash flows as well too. So dabbling a little bit, we've definitely wholesaled some stuff as well. Projects that we just didn't have the bandwidth or capacity to take on. So we've wholesaled it to other investors that, they specialize into that. And then on the flip side, we also, buy a lot of wholesale rent to own projects, where smaller individual operators that, either don't have the financial capability or the time to manage and follow through with the clients, that we buy it. So if you want to consider that kind of a wholesale strategy as well too.
What do you think the best real estate investing strategy is right now?
Well, hands down, and as we continue to grow the business and the company, I think it is rent to own through this, pandemic, through this, financial, if you want to call it a crisis or situation, I guess is the easiest way to call it. But there's going to be more and more people that aren't going to be able to qualify for their home, for their mortgages, right? The home ownership numbers in Canada have continually to decline in the last decade, 2 decades, 3 decades. Less and less people own their home. More people are renting, or, like I said, from the short-term rental side of things, a lot more people are doing that. So I think there's a huge need of people, needing to get educated on how they can secure their finances and really put themselves in a better financial situation so that they can own their home. I think that is the most important investment you make in your entire life. That and like education is another one, like yourself, but definitely where the roof over your head, where you live, is the biggest investment. So with the rent to own strategy, I just see so much more opportunity, and even the mentors that had taught me, you can do this in an up market, a down market, a sideways market. It works in all capacities, and that's the fortunate part of now, being the president of CareOp, but having some of the best rent to own providers like on speed dial. I get to tap into, hey, what's going on in BC, what's going on in Alberta, what's going on in Quebec. And it's not like there's no Canadian real estate market, but seeing what's going on in, number one, those provinces, but then those individual cities and towns in those provinces of, well, it hasn't happened here. Well, if that happened here, how do we adjust? How do we change our business? And seeing that, like Alberta, kind of the prices go up and down based on the oil, right? And BC, or really Vancouver is more, very similar to Toronto. So having that visual of, up markets, down markets, flat markets, and seeing successes in from rent to own and rent to own companies across those markets really inspire me, because whatever happens here in Ontario, I'm confident that people are going to continue to want to own their home, and it's just going to get tougher and tougher. So definitely I'm biased. I know I've invested in some other stuff, but I do think the rent to own, and just from the standpoint of you're investing and you're making money and you're getting a return. That's what all investors want, bottom line, for sure. But then you have that intangible of actually helping families and helping people get into their home. So that I always say is like, that's the infinite ROI on the return. And then you have your actual ROI, which is pretty healthy as well.
I know a lot of investors that are very proud of their properties and take a lot of pride in helping families. I'm going to throw this one out for the young people who might be watching. Um, if you were 20 years old, what would you say is the best real estate investment for you right now?
Yeah. Oh man, I wish I was 20 years old again. That'd be awesome with all the info and knowledge. And yeah, like I'm going to take a little bit of a different approach to the answer. Not so much about a specific strategy, but really educating yourself. And I think they call it like house hacking now. And I think it would be, to find a way to get into your own property, to own your own home, right? Like that's your structure, that's your foundation. That's where you want to start, is to get into your own property, and that maybe has the capability or the ability to rent out a unit, a room, a basement apartment in that property, so that you could actually supplement your own income, or cover off what your number one expenses is, living expenses, right? Your mortgage, taxes, and insurance. That's the number one cost when you're living, in your own property. So at 20 years old, yeah, I would tell myself, you know what, go and make the amount of income on whatever job or whatever that you're doing, whatever passion that you have on working, but then buy your own place and rent out the basement. Like rent out the basement, supplement your income, get that rent coming in so it covers off, what you need to pay for your mortgage, your taxes, your insurance, and utilities and all that kind of stuff. And then that will open up a whole nother revenue stream where now you can maybe take some educational classes and learn more about real estate and really dive into what kind of strategy or technique that you want to use, because it's different for everybody. I know people that love buying the huge apartment buildings, or they just want between 6 and 12 unit buildings and all that kind of stuff, and they all work. They really all work. There's not one that's better than the other. You just really got to dive in and choose one. And that's where I made my error or mistake, was like, oh, they're all great, and it was like, oh, squirrel, squirrel, shiny penny, squirrel, right? Like all that kind of stuff. And I think for someone at 20 years old is, yeah, get into the market, buy a house. You'll never regret it. In 10 years from now, even heck, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 20 years from now, that house is going to be worth more. You'll be able to refinance, pull money out. And if you have, then, if you want to move on to the next one, you fill your own vacancy on, say, on the upper unit, and you can go do that again and find another place where you can buy a house, rent out the basement. And like, I practice what I preach. Like, currently, I live in my triplex. I'm in a triplex. I live in the upper unit. I rent out the middle and the lower unit. Now, fortunately, I'm in the position, I don't, have young kids or a family. And even if I did, I would still maybe try to figure out a way where I can rent out another unit, because that's your biggest expense, is your living expenses, your home, right? Your house. So yeah, definitely at 20 years old, I was, just getting into college. I was getting into the sales, marketing aspect of it, but really controlling the asset, controlling your home, and not being subject to somebody else. And we've started to do that now with some of our clients that are younger families, that they buy the house, they rent out the bottom unit, and now that's helping supplement their monthly payments for us. So that's what I would say, is get into a long-term buy and hold, buy one property. Doesn't need to be fancy, put some work into it. It needs a little bit of work. I think, again, not being too old, I don't know, it's all relative, I guess, age, but the 20 somethings or all that kind of stuff are all worried about like the granite countertop, and I need like 15-foot ceilings, and like like leather couches, and like I need to be able to take a selfie and it look awesome on Instagram. And that's all great, and if that's what floats your boat, I guess, then obviously, you got to go out and do that. But everybody just sees the end result. Like, I don't know, for the people that are watching this, and I keep that picture in the back, is like the iceberg, right? Is most people just see like the success and the end result at the top, but you don't see all the work that goes into it beforehand, right? And putting in that work and doing it, and there's no substitute for that sacrifice and that hard work. But yeah, that was a longer-winded answer, but yeah, buy that house, maybe find a way to rent out the basement, yeah, and then grow from there.
How can young people today better position themselves to become a real estate investor or to purchase a home?
For sure. And, kind of switching gears to the REITE Club, that's what we do at the REITE Club. Is whether you're a rookie investor, whether you're a seasoned investor, or somewhere in between, is getting those things, because like, besides yourself, no one knows exactly your situation. Like, you walk into a bank and try to get a mortgage, they're going to just look at what they have available for you. And if you don't fit into their recommendations and their criteria, they're not going to be able to help you. And unfortunately, they don't have the time or bandwidth to follow up with you to say, okay, you need to do this. All right, let's check with you in 6 months, because they're looking to sell you something that day, right? They're not able to help you. And that personalization is key in the terms of personal finances, right? So getting around a good group of people really is the first step. And obviously, yes, the down payment amount, the credit scores, the income, that we talk a lot about that from the rent to own side of things. But there's plenty of investors, there's many investors that have not used any of their own money, right? Like joint venture partners or money partners, right? And you have one or the other. It's the knowledge, or the money, right? Or the time, right? It's like those three things need to be kind of work together. So if you're willing to go and put in the work and say, hey, okay, I'm going to go and find the property, maybe wholesale it to an investor that's already doing it. Well, hey, that's some capital now that you can kind of put in your down payment piggy bank, right? I know the first few deals I wasn't able to work on or close on. So I was like, okay, I'm going to sell them to somebody that I did. And I put like, a couple grand, 4 or 5 grand in my pocket and built that up to say, hey, now I can put that towards a down payment or put that towards an income property. And really, it's not looking at people's end result. Again, I'm going back to that, but learning and educating on, okay, well, what can you control and what can't you control? So you can control your credit score. Learn about the credit score. Not enough people know how it works. When I bought my first property, I filled out a mortgage application, gave my, ID, my tax returns, my job letters, all that kind of stuff. And I had no idea. The bank gave me like $400,000. And I was like, for what? I don't know what I did. It was based on like my credit score, the income, the down payment, and I had no idea. And that's when the wheels started turning. I'm like, I should learn a little bit more about this, because if the bank gave me 400,000, maybe they'll give me more if I get better at this, right? So, um, learning about your own personal credit score, have a good grasp of your own personal finances, of what you have available, what you need, have the end in mind. So you're not just kind of chasing your tail, but have a clear, defined goal. Say, okay, I want to buy a property. Okay, what does that property look like? How much is it? Where is it? What am I going to do? How can I add value to it? Right. And then when you get from there, you get that knowledge and experience. There's a lot of people out there that don't want to go and put all that effort in finding properties, talking to clients, um, all that stuff. So if you're willing to do that work, they're able to provide the, down payments or provide capital to do work on a property and renovate and all that kind of stuff. You just have to put in the effort. So really getting at first a good grasp and educating yourself on your own personal finances. And then the credit score is huge. Yeah. And then picking a type of property or strategy and really staying focused, and not kind of, squirrel type of mentality, and getting to a goal. And the goal might change. The goal might change over time. But really, yeah, getting that grasp of, okay, say I need 20,000, 30,000, 50,000, whatever that number is, and just being relentless to go and get to reach that.
The credit score and the education aspect is extremely important for anyone looking to invest in real estate or purchase a home for that matter. Alfonso, if anyone wanted to get in touch with you, maybe they have questions, maybe they want to join the REITE Club, what's the best way for them to reach out to you?
I'll give you a few methods, and the easiest way is on our website. It's jaagproperties.com, JAAG properties.com. My email is the same. It's alfonso@jaagproperties.com. Or if you visit the REITEclub.com, REITE club.com, you can find me there as well too. And reach out with a name like Alfonso. It's not too difficult. You might get the Carlton from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, Alfonso Ribeiro, but we look a little different. So reach out either through JAAG Properties, through the REITE Club. Get in touch with me. I'd love to chat. Love inspiring people to kind of grow and achieve more. So that's how you can get in touch.
There are links for everything we talked about down below. If you like this video, please go ahead and hit the thumbs up. If you don't want to miss any of the upcoming episodes or any other videos that we release, please go ahead and subscribe.
Awesome, Henry. Thank you so much. And it's amazing what you're doing, helping people and educating people. And it's a kudo to you. So thank you so much for having me.